This one comes from Alex. We asked for videos, but we also asked for voice memos, and I believe we have a voice memo from Alex, yeah?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's rock it.
Hey, Harry Mack. This is Alex calling in from Brooklyn.
Hey.
Longtime follower of your stuff, first-time interactor.
All right.
Drummer to drummer, I wanted to get your thoughts about flowing in odd meters or using odd groupings. I don't really see that represented in rap more broadly, and that's fine. It's some nerd shit, but we know when a musical idea is communicated well, it can resonate with a broader audience without really having to think about the math of it, if you will. But as a drummer and a rapper who's performed for many, many audiences, I was curious what kind of attempts you've made to flow over odd grouping or odd meter beats, how that's really landed, and if you have sort of a rapper perspective on rap on that stuff. So thanks for taking the question. Really hope to see this one up. Cheers, buddy. Keep it up.
Hey, good vibes. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Great question. Rapping in odd meters. Why doesn't it happen more? Do I have experience with it? I guess first and foremost, I got to try to briefly explain what that even means for anybody who's listening to this or watching this who's not a musician and doesn't know what odd meters are. So I'll try to keep this really like as simple as possible and as short as possible. It's a little complicated, but we'll see what we can do. Basically, most of the music that we hear, like the vast majority of music that we hear, whether it's pop, rock, hip hop, whatever, almost all of it is in what's called 4/4 time, which basically just means you count to 4 and then you start over again at 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, 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 boom. There's a hip hop beat, or it could be a rock beat. Boom, boom, pa, boom, boom, pa. We will. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So the vast majority of Western music, so-called Western music that we hear is in 4/4 time. If we're talking about like traditional Balkan music or like traditional African music, there are lots of odd times. But most of like the popular genres that you hear people talk about today, the vast majority of the music is in 4/4 time. Every once in a while, there will be a song in 3/4 time, which just means you count to 3 and start over. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 boom. You hear a lot of those grooves like in R&B and in rock music. So that happens every once in a while. It happens very, very rarely in hip hop. So for all of these genres that are under the umbrella of what's called Western music, it's almost all in 4/4, and then every once in a while it's in 3/4. In hip hop, it's even more biased to 4/4. Like basically all rap songs are in 4/4, with very seldom there will be some version of 3/4 that's worked in, but even that is very rare. Okay, so most of it's in 4/4. Every once in a while there's 3/4, and then even more rare than that are these things that Alex is talking about, which are called odd meters or odd time signatures. So that would be like 5/4, where you count to 5 and start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Doom, cut, doom, doom, cut, doom, doom. So that's 5/4 or 7/4 or 9/4. A lot of times it's really 9/8 or 7/8. Don't worry about the second number. It mostly has to do with music notation. We don't have time to get into it, but just talking about the first number, so 5, 7, or 9. That and that is very rare in hip hop. So the question is like, do I ever practice rapping in odd time signatures? I'm sure there are people who do it. And actually, shout out to Bus Driver, who had a song in 5/4 on one of his records. It was kind of like a remix of like Take 5 by the Dave Brubeck group. But so that was cool. And I'm sure there are other examples of it too. There are probably like obscure underground artists maybe do it frequently. I don't know. I'm not hip to it. There might be like a jazz rap group that mostly performs in odd time signatures. I wouldn't be surprised at this point because hip hop is global. It's universal. It's one of the most popular genres out there. So anything you can imagine happening in hip hop has probably happened at one point or another, and may happen currently. So by the way, if you're aware of like dope hip hop that is in odd time signatures, definitely post it in the comments. In terms of me doing it, I've tried it a couple times. I think I tried it on a live stream one time. I haven't done it very much. The reality is it's hard to find beats, like a hip hop beat that is in an odd time signature that's dope. There's just not that many out there. Of course, I could make my own or play drums and record it and do that. So that would be cool to explore. I'm open to explore it. The reality is like odd times mostly have existed. Like if we're talking about Western music, it's mostly in jazz and probably like avant-garde, like modern classical. And I think the reason is for us, I guess like Westerners or whatever, like for people who, and for most people of the modern world who are, you know, used to hearing EDM, rock, pop, funk, whatever, we're so used to 4/4 and maybe a little 3/4 every once in a while, but mostly 4/4 that like hearing things that are outside of that feel kind of unnatural and weird to us. That's like odd meters, like odd time signatures. They're probably called that because of the odd numbers, 5, 7, and 9, but also they feel a little odd to us because we're not used to them. And again, if you grew up in a culture, like I know Balkan music has like really intricate odd times and like, at least traditionally, I don't know if it's still the case, but you would grow up hearing those odd time signatures all the time. And so it's kind of like in your DNA and it's built into how you hear music. So you're used to it and it doesn't feel weird at all, which is really cool. But we're so biased to 4/4 that like hearing something in 5/4, it almost like it feels like it's off, you know? It's like, oh, I don't know how to nod my head to it. We don't know how to dance to it. We just like that 4 on the floor. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody knows how to dance to that shit. So, in some ways, we maybe are appealing to the lowest common denominator by always keeping everything in 4/4 time. But there's a ton that you can do within 4/4 time. It's really not that limiting. That said, like jazz has never, since like the 20s, it has not been popular music, right? So the whole purpose of jazz is like to push the boundary and to be exploratory. It's improvisational music. Like it's not necessarily trying to appeal to the lowest common denominator. It's trying to reach for something new and original and trying to challenge the listener, right? And challenge the musicians. So that's why like they've explored much more with odd time signatures in the jazz world. So I don't know, like trying it in hip hop and doing it in a way that would be palatable to a wider audience. Like I think it's possible. I don't see why it wouldn't be possible, but it might be challenging. And I think it would take a lot of practice to get comfortable for me rapping in 5/4, for example. Like I would have to really, really work on it. Cause I remember when in the times that I have tried it, I feel very boxed in and I can only do it in like a very basic way. But yeah, I definitely want to explore it more. I will say real quick, odd groupings, which is another thing that Alex asked about, is something that I actually have experimented with quite a bit. And actually I incorporated it into my live show. So an odd grouping is like, you're still in 4/4 time, but you're grouping notes in like groups of 5, let's say, which is also unusual. Normally you group notes in things that are divisible by 4. So you group them as 4s, like 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a grabbing on the mic and I'ma put it in your ear. I be coming up with all the lyrics that they fear. That feels natural and we can bounce to it and it makes sense. Or you would do it in 2s, ready for whatever, spitting something clever, dugga, 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 right? So, but one thing that's really interesting that I like messing around with is groups of 5. So like the word university, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Off the tip of this, I'm ridiculous, inconspicuous, none can fuck with this. They ain't up on this, had enough of this. I be getting it, I be spitting it. They ain't with the shit. I'ma do it live when I spit it out. I'ma, et cetera, et cetera. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can do that and still be in 4/4 time. Boom, cat, doom, doom, cat. 1, 2, 3, 4. University, spew it certainly off the tip of this. Too ridiculous, they ain't getting this. Rep the underground, let the thunder pound. I'ma hit them with that ridiculous off the top of this till apocalypse. No one's stopping this mic and dropping. So that type of thing. And it's kind of like rolling and tumbling over the bar line and it's sort of rubbing against the 4/4 time and creating this sort of like disorienting feeling and this really high level of rhythmic intensity. And so that I do experiment with. And I would love to go deeper and get more comfortable using like groups of 7 and interchanging them with groups of 5. And I mentioned I incorporated it into my live show because there's this a cappella part of the live show where I just kind of start snapping with these like groups of 5. And sometimes I do the groups of 7 and I sort of experiment with these different odd groupings because there's no beat anyway. And so it's like a wide open kind of like sandbox to play in. So I like checking out the odd groupings. But that's my thesis on odd meters in hip hop.